After wandering throughout Ascension Path, the search for the demon fox revealed only traces of its capture, confirming that heavenly being cultivators truly swept away all powerful creatures. Absorbing spiritual energy in the fox's old cave, training began in earnest, and with the dense energy of Ascension Path, progress came quickly, activating the first of the 72 earthly Sha meridians and reaching Chi refining first star. Deciding to head toward the mysterious Ascension Gate, the journey revealed bizarre beasts and rare spiritual plants, though most valuable ones had already been taken. Approaching the gate, a storm of lightning and spatial rifts guarded it, making even observation dangerous. Using the Tenli Eye technique, the object floating above the gate was revealed as a stele, inscribed with an ancient warning for future generations to relinquish desires before ascending, or face calamity. With curiosity sated but no new path revealed, cultivation resumed, and the years passed in solitude. In a decade, past life achievements were surpassed. All meridians were opened, and the Chi refining 7th star was reached, all in preparation for the crucial 7 stars ritual. Careful calculation of auspicious timing and ritual construction led to the first attempt. Yet, as the prayers rose and the ritual steps were performed, the heavens answered only with silence and dark clouds, cutting off the star's energy and ending the ceremony in failure. Undeterred, the rituals continued, meticulously rotating through constellations, perfecting every detail, but after more than 500 attempts over 10 years, every single ritual failed. The heavens remained unmoved, and loneliness crept in as isolation became absolute. To stave off the growing emptiness, swordplay and memories became companions. Imagining Kim Young-hoon in the form of a flying stone sword, martial duels and conversations filled the void, sharpening skills and blurring the line between reality and memory. Together, though alone, exploration resumed, eventually leading to the edge of Ascension Path. There, the truth was revealed. The entire land floated above the heaven, treading desert, explaining the desert's legendary name. The sight shocked away the haze of insanity that had settled over years of solitude, but with clarity came the painful realization that Kim Young-hoon had been gone for over 20 years, and the recent companionship had been but a delusion. Sitting at the precipice, laughter and tears mingled under a starry sky, no altar or ritual tools prepared for the night's ceremony. In desperation, an appeal was sent directly to the heavens, a plea for release, for purpose, for some answer to the relentless silence. Stars shone on, indifferent as the lonely call echoed into the night. As dawn breaks, a surreal transformation occurs. The shattered stone saber and the split imaginary Kim Young-hoon begin to multiply, each fragment birthing new bodies. Now facing 2 and then 4 Kim Young-hoons, the protagonist is pushed into relentless duels, his skills sharpened through repeated battles. Months pass in this ceaseless struggle, and after finally overcoming his imaginary adversaries, their bodies multiply again, surrounding him with even more opponents. Despite pouring all his sincerity into ritual after ritual, pleading with the heavens for acceptance and advancement, nothing changes. The heavens remain silent, indifferent to his desperate efforts. The feeling is not of a wall to be broken, but of an empty abyss where the next stage is invisible and unreachable. Yet he refuses to yield, vowing to persist as long as necessary, no matter how many times he is ignored. The hallucinations intensify, now manifesting not only Kim Young-hoons from past cycles, but also the Shadow Guards, disciples, loyalists, countless figures from his various lives. Each time he fights them, the battles grow more intense and complex, and the pain of ritual failures is replaced by the twisted pleasure of these endless confrontations. He crafts weapons for his imaginary companions, and together they clash in battles that fill the sky. Years slip by, decades since regression, decades of ritual, decades of longing and struggle. In the midst of one such battle, he discovers a mysterious stone building, clearly ancient and reminiscent of a shrine. Within it, he finds a fragment inscribed with the ancient character for thunder, hinting at a secret tied to the Ascension Gate and the thunder clouds above. Investigating the area further reveals that the building was violently displaced, perhaps by an ancient cultivator, and that much of its structure may be buried in the desert beyond the island's edge. Despite mounting frustration and moments of despair, he refuses to give up, remembering the words of his master that sincerity can reach the heavens. Surrounded by the phantasms of all who have ever supported him, he realizes he is not truly alone. Every ritual, every sparring match, every stone in his ever-growing altar is a testament to the connections and memories that sustain him. The altar grows taller. The illusions multiply into thousands, disciples, allies, rivals, friends, enemies, all gathered around him, sparring, watching, pushing him onward. With each failed ritual, he no longer smashes the altar in anger but builds it higher, determined to reach the sky. Though he knows these figures are illusions of his loneliness and longing, he draws strength from them, vowing never to give up. He shouts to the heavens, refusing to be broken, carrying the weight of all those who have been part of his journey, and begins the ritual once more, resolute in his hope that the heavens will one day answer. Seo Hyun stands atop his towering altar, surrounded by the hopeful gazes of countless figures below, determined to challenge the heavens through ritual. Though failure greets him time and again, his master remains steadfast, encouraging him to try once more. Each attempt brings him no pain or disappointment, only the sense that every failure is a step higher. The altar grows ever taller, the figures more substantial, and his sword control reaches further with each cycle, though the dark clouds above stubbornly refuse to part. Years pass in relentless pursuit. As Seo's internal power grows, a new phenomenon emerges in his Dragon Vein Chi method, a compression at his dantian, increasing his energy and pushing him to the peak of 5 energies converging to the origin. The heights he once thought unreachable, like Kim Young-hoon's ultimate pinnacle, now seem within his grasp. The altar rises to dizzying heights, and his ritual shakes the heavens a little more each time, though never enough to clear the sky. Seo begins to question the nature of the figures supporting him. Are they just illusions, or something more? In an introspective dialogue, he realizes these phantoms are the sum of his connections and experiences, all of which form his true self. The fragmented aspects of his being merge, and in a moment of enlightenment, he understands that his martial arts and sword control should likewise be unified, not divided among imaginary companions. With this new insight, Seo merges all the stars within himself into a single, brilliant gang sphere. Infusing it with his very essence, he creates something beyond mere sword control, a piece of himself capable of reaching the heavens. As night falls, he ascends the now 60-story altar and performs the full 7 stars ritual, invoking the celestial spirits and offering his creation to the sky. This time, the star he sends forth does not falter or dissipate. Perfectly controlled, it ascends, pierces the clouds, and unleashes a radiant explosion that opens the heavens. A torrent of celestial energy descends upon Seo and the connections from all his past lives. Friends, enemies, disciples, masters smile down at him. Embracing the spiritual essence of heaven and earth, he absorbs it fully, finally completing the 7 stars ritual and advancing to the 8th star in key refining. After decades of relentless striving, Seo Hyun achieves his breakthrough, reaching the ultimate pinnacle and at last moving the heavens through his own strength and the unity of all he is. Thunder rumbled overhead as the sky seemed to challenge with anger, but no heavenly lightning struck despite the gathering storm. Focusing on cultivation, the gang sphere was condensed above the hand, shining like a star, and then reabsorbed into the body, settling in the dantian. There, the gang sphere transformed, compressing internal energy and spiritual power together, becoming an inner core, a new center of power. With this transformation, internal energy and spiritual power no longer mixed chaotically, but instead flowed together in harmony, drastically improving cultivation efficiency. The realization dawned that this structure, though similar to the golden core of cultivators, was fundamentally different in nature and effect. With the inner core, martial techniques drew on power more efficiently and explosively. Techniques that once required laborious effort now produced overwhelming effects, and internal energy control reached new heights. Reflecting on the path to this point, gratitude arose for the records left behind by Kim Young-hoon, which allowed these steps without detours or wasted time. With the formation of the inner core and the completion of the 7 stars ritual, new abilities awakened, perceptions of lifespan, the will of the heavens, and the ability to anticipate weather and future fortune. Driven by this new power, the realm advanced rapidly. Using the hidden consciousness technique, cultivation accelerated to a speed rivaling those with true spiritual roots. Within just over a year, the realm of the 6 harmonies and then the 5 elements was reached. Elemental abilities flourished, especially the earth element, allowing powerful offensive and defensive techniques, manipulation of terrain, and construction of structures with spiritual power. The process of forming hand seals and invoking spells became simple and instinctive. With the needs of cultivation shifting, it was time to leave Ascension Path. The floating island, hidden from mortals by a mysterious barrier, vanished as soon as the ground was left behind. Landing safely in the desert below, the world felt full of new possibilities. The next destination lay uncertain, perhaps north to investigate a strange stone structure, or west toward Biokra. But with the inner core formed and new realms unlocked, each step forward promised new challenges and growth. Choosing curiosity over comfort, the journey veers north, away from human contact and towards the mysterious stone structure glimpsed in the desert's heart. Travel across the endless sands is grueling, with the earth listening technique probing beneath every dune for clues. Days blend together, sandstorms rage, yet finally a fragment of stone emerges from the dust, a plaque bearing ancient script. Careful study reveals a legacy, the Golden Divine Heavenly Thundersect, a name resonant with power and history, yet out of place in these desolate wastes, given the sect's storied home lies far to the west. The incongruity is unsettling, hinting at lost centuries and shifting borders, but time to ponder is cut short as a sandstorm reveals a distant castle, shrouded in darkness and heavy with the scent of blood. Instinct and past, life wisdom scream caution. The castle pulses with deadly malevolence, and the memory of a notorious massacre associated with this region reinforces the decision to flee. The sandstorm's fury and the castle's ominous presence suggest the cultivator's formation array, vast and dangerous, warping both direction and reality. Escaping, the journey south resumes, but the desert's trials are not yet over. Food and water dwindle, hunger is tolerable, but thirst becomes an agony that even cultivation can't stave off forever. Salvation appears in the form of a serene, black-haired cultivator, her white robes luminous against the sand. She offers water and simple kindness, refusing any repayment, then glides away on a wave of sand, her cultivation evident and her generosity a rare blessing. Refreshed and guided, the route leads to Cheon's Sake City, a bustling place renowned for magical artifacts and exquisite glassware. Practical needs are met: food, water, clothing, purchased with coin earned from subduing local bandits. With the immediate struggle for survival won, thoughts turn west, toward the Chongmun clan's lands and the people from another life. 9 years of lifespan remain, and with rituals long behind, the next step is to seek out the master from the past, hoping to reconnect with threads of destiny once again. Arriving at the Chongmun clan for their renowned training conference, the atmosphere is tense as the cultivators realize just how overwhelming a chi refining 9-star participant will be. Despite being told he could skip the competition and join directly as an external member, Soyun Hyun insists on entering, desiring the prize of a personal meeting with the esteemed elder Chongmun Ryong. His presence unnerves the other participants, who see little hope of victory, but Un Hyun feels some regret that their lack of fighting spirit might rob them of future opportunities in the clan. As the competition unfolds, his superiority is absolute. Weaker cultivators forfeit, while those with higher cultivation barely withstand a single exchange. After easily winning, he immediately requests to meet Chongmun Ryong and refuses the offer to become an external clan member, explaining that his path cannot be bound by clan rules. Chongmun Bok, surprised by this, arranges the meeting, though he tries to tempt Yun Hyun with more teaching time if he would reconsider. The meeting with Chongmun Ryong is intense. Ryong, initially brusque, becomes progressively more intrigued as Yun Hyun asks about advanced cultivation concepts. Their discussion, meant to be brief, stretches through the night as Ryong extends the lesson again and again, recognizing the depth of Eunyeon's questions. In the end, Ryong offers to take him as a disciple once more, but Eunyeon gently declines, reiterating his need for freedom. Ryong, hiding any disappointment, sends him on his way, though Yong leaves with great respect and gratitude. Eun-hyun then travels to the Jin clan, seeking news of Kim Young-hoon and his disciples. There he learns that Kim Young-hoon, now known as the Heaven Cutter, has become a legendary figure after slaying the last Mokli emperor and earning the Jin clan's protection. Eun-hyun meets an old subordinate and helps him with his cultivation, realizing that while geniuses rarely need help, those who do often lack the patience to benefit fully from teaching. Finally, After 40 years apart, Yoon Hyun and Kim Young Hoon are reunited. There is a moment of silent recognition between old comrades, each acknowledging the other's growth. Eun Hyun proposes a match, signaling a duel between two who have both reached the zenith of martial and cultivation realms, leaving the outcome and the future of their journeys hanging in anticipation. Kim Young Hoon is left speechless as he witnesses the gang sphere materialize in the protagonist's hand, realizing there is finally another person in the world who has reached this rare realm. Overcome with emotion, Kim Young Hoon's intent blazes like the sun, and his excitement turns dangerous. His craving for true martial combat finally awakened after decades of isolation at the pinnacle. Without warning, he launches an attack, his speed so overwhelming that even the protagonist's heightened senses struggle to keep up. As Kim Young Hoon splits his gang sphere into 9, the protagonist is forced into a desperate battle, barely able to defend himself and quickly realizing the vast difference in mastery. Kim Young Hoon toys with him, attacking with such speed and ferocity that the protagonist is battered and flung into a valley. There, Kim Young Hoon explains that the true use of gang sphere is not just as a weapon, but as a means of splitting the self, each sphere carrying a part of one's intent, essentially multiplying one's fighting power. In the world of intent, the protagonist faces 10 Kim Young Hoons, 1 real and 9 embodied by the spheres, each attacking with deadly precision, overwhelming him at every turn. Through the intensity of battle, the protagonist begins to understand the deeper techniques of this realm. As realization dawns, he manages to replicate Kim Young Hoon's method, producing a second self within the world of intent, and, with that, turns the fight from 10 against 1 to 10 against 2. Kim Young Hoon, delighted by the progress, escalates the battle by merging his spheres, synchronizing his thoughts, and doubling his speed. The protagonist, drawing on his vast consciousness cultivated through Taoist methods, manages to keep up by synchronizing with his own gang sphere, greatly accelerating his perception and reaction. The fight intensifies as both unleash their full power, turning the valley into ruins. The protagonist, though ultimately defeated, breaks through to a new realm of understanding, no longer seeing Kim Young Hoon as an insurmountable wall, but as a challenge he can one day surpass. Exhausted but exhilarated, both warriors share a mutual respect. Kim Young Hoon offers a position in the Jin clan, but the protagonist declines, explaining his true purpose is to investigate connections between the sects and possibly uncover the reason for being brought into this world. With only a decade of life remaining, he resolves to push his cultivation further and set out for the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect in Shengzi, hoping to find answers about the Ascension Gate and his fate. With Kim Young Hoon's permission, a visit is made to the disciples in the Jin clan's territory. The lives of Kaiwa, Manhole, Nokhayen, Chongya, and Hiya have unfolded in slightly different ways due to subtle changes, but all are safe and thriving. After quietly leaving, a conversation with Kim Young Hoon follows, touching on the hardships and martial progress experienced over the last 40 years. Kim Young Hoon gives 3 martial arts books containing his accumulated insights, wondering aloud if there is any realm beyond the ultimate pinnacle, reflecting uncertainty about the limits of martial achievement. A proverb is quoted, suggesting there are always higher peaks to climb, and preparations are made to depart for Shengzi, seeking information about the Ascension Gate. Shengzi, renowned as the land of scriptures, is described as a country of scholars, its 7 cultivator clans shaping a landscape filled with texts and philosophy. The Jinlu clan dominates half the nation, while the rest is governed by a coalition of smaller clans, and the mortal Nan royal family maintains a careful balance by collecting historical records rather than martial secrets. It is discovered that the Shengzi Imperial Archives contain the most information about the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, but cultivators are largely forbidden entry. A barrier inside the palace suppresses spiritual power, but it is determined that entry is possible and that martial skills remain usable. Disguised, entry to the palace is achieved, and the royal library is explored in search of the sect's secrets. An astonishing fact emerges. The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect was founded 123,000 years ago by Yang Sujin, who also experienced the rare heavenly rejection phenomenon during his cultivation. Much like the protagonist, several others in his era experienced the same phenomenon, but most records of their fates are lost. The founding of the sect is linked to a gate of light, the Ascension Gate, falling from the heavens, and the ancient capital of the Central Spirit, Holy Kingdom, now a desert, was once its center. The origins of the sect's divine artifact remain shrouded in secrecy, with only rumors and folklore hinting that Yang Sujin may have ascended and returned from a higher realm, creating a rift that became the Ascension Gate. Yang Sujin's end is cloaked in contradictory accounts: death, ascension, madness, disappearance, leaving his legacy enigmatic. Years pass, hidden in the royal library, where tireless study and cultivation lead to mastery of the five elements, four images, and three talents, unity stages, eventually reaching the 13th star chi refining, unified origin stage. Each advancement requires new insight, particularly the unity of heaven, earth, and man, and the true nature of gang spheres remains elusive. Yet, with lifespan nearly exhausted, a dilemma arises. Reaching the chi building stage seems nearly impossible for one with mixed spiritual roots without resorting to the abhorrent chi building pills. Despair grows as searches for alternative cases yield nothing. An intriguing theory in a folklore collection suggests that the heavens do not grant lifespan, but only record it, and that extraordinary power can force the heavens to rewrite a person's fate and lifespan. Recalling a previous brush with death, it is wondered whether true power can extend life even without formal ascension. As time dwindles to a month and a half, the question lingers whether the ultimate pinnacle can truly defy the heavens and grant a new lease on life. As the day of fated death approaches, desperate measures are taken to defy the heavens and extend a fleeting life by forcibly stimulating the heart with Gang Chi. Internal energy is stockpiled, and precious spiritual herbs are consumed, all to buy more time atop the sacred celestial altar. When the royal guards and eunuchs discover the trespass, overwhelming displays of power subdue them without bloodshed, and the cultivator clans are summoned, only to be rendered powerless by stolen talismans. Alone and unchallenged, the struggle becomes a battle against fate itself. Heart attacks, the only remaining tool of heaven, are repelled again and again through agony and force of will. The night stretches on, each heartbeat racked with pain, each moment an ordeal of endurance as memories and regrets flicker by. Cold and exhaustion threaten, but the will to live burns fiercely. As dawn breaks, hope flickers with the rising sun, only to be snuffed as ominous thunderclouds smother the light. Defiant, gang spheres are launched skyward, tearing holes in the clouds, but the heavens answer with a torrent of blue lightning. Defenses disintegrate, flesh chars, and the world is consumed by pain and light. In the instant before oblivion, the heavens' immutable will is felt, and amidst the annihilation, enlightenment is achieved. The 14th star of key refining, unified origin, is reached. In that moment of transcendence, the cycle ends and everything turns to darkness as another return is completed. The 8th cycle is finished, and the story stands poised before what comes next. Upon opening his eyes in the forest again after yet another regression, he immediately subdues his companions to buy time, recalling how in his previous life he achieved the 14th star of key refining by realizing the principle of heavens as a unified, eternal entity. Now, at the peak of chi refining and on the verge of chi building, he feels the after effects of carrying over such enlightenment. His consciousness is so vast that it threatens to burst his mind. He rapidly consumes yellow bamboo roots, circulating the dragon vine key method to stabilize himself, rebuilds his internal harmony, and forms his inner core by condensing Gangchi, regaining a body nearly identical to his previous peak. As he performs the familiar rituals at the start of each cycle, tending to his companions, eating roots, waiting for the forest fox, he notices a change. The fox, instead of simply taking his arm, recognizes a strange aura about him and calls him a member of the forest, pushing him aside to choose another victim. When he protests, the fox rebukes him for arguing with the master of the forest and bites. "Oh, hi!" Seo's arm instead. It finds her unsatisfying and leaves while he tends to her wound. The strangeness continues when the red, two-headed snake also senses something off, questioning whether he is truly human. When he chases down and confronts the snake, it admits that both it and the fox spared him because he feels like one of their own kind, a revelation that baffles him. Still pondering this, he completes the law, transforming Dantian, activates his first spiritual meridian, and as expected is soon met by Jinbyuk-ho, Whitebone Ghost Devil, and Azure Tiger Saint. Oh, hi! Seo's arm is healed by Azure Tiger Saint, and the cultivators claim their chosen companions, while Jinbyuk-ho examines him and, like the forest beast, wonders if he is a demon. They seem indifferent to him, but Azure Tiger Saint offers a recommendation to the Chongmun clan, and Jinbyuk Ho tells him where to find the records he seeks about the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect as he respectfully requests information about young Sujin. He then passes on all his accumulated martial knowledge to Kim Young-hoon as he did in previous cycles, preparing for the arrival of the Sea Dragon King. When Seol Hwale arrives, he is immediately suspicious, asking if he is a demi-human or a hybrid, and ultimately remarks, confused, that he is carrying a demon core. Stunned, he realizes something fundamental about his nature has changed, but the explanation remains elusive as the chapter ends.